And I did stop and show my workers, my two sons and whoever else was helping us, this ash, because the road went right through the middle of it down at the Zoar area. And I showed them this soft stuff. I said, this is bound to be what's left of those cities.
There are some discoveries so unsettling, so mysterious, that they continue to haunt the imagination long after the explorer himself is gone. For decades, stories surrounding the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah have stirred fear, fascination, and endless debate. Were the infamous cities merely symbolic warnings written into ancient scripture? Or did they truly exist, reduced to ashes by a force so catastrophic that even thousands of years later, the land still bears the scars? Few men pursued that question more obsessively than Ron Wyatt. Known for his controversial searches for biblical locations and relics, Wyatt spent years traveling dangerous terrain in the Middle East, convinced that the Bible preserved literal historical events hidden beneath the sands of time. But near the end of his life, Wyatt reportedly shared details about Sodom and Gomorrah that many listeners found deeply disturbing. What he claimed to have seen in the ruins shocked even hardened researchers. Some believed it confirmed the terrifying judgment described in the book of Genesis. Others dismissed it as impossible. Yet the evidence Wyatt pointed toward continues to spark intense discussion among biblical researchers, archaeologists, theologians, and skeptics alike. Before we uncover what Ron Wyatt revealed, take a moment to subscribe to our channel and join us as we explore the world's greatest biblical mysteries, forgotten discoveries, and ancient secrets hidden beneath history itself. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is one of the most chilling narratives in the Bible. Found in the book of Genesis, the account describes two cities whose corruption had become so severe that divine judgment descended upon them in catastrophic fashion. Genesis chapter 19 verse 24 declares, "Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven." For centuries, readers wondered what brimstone and fire truly meant. Was it poetic imagery, a volcanic eruption, a meteor strike, or something far more supernatural? Ancient historians wrote about the region with fear and curiosity. The first-century Jewish historian Flavius Josephus claimed the area near the Dead Sea still showed evidence of divine destruction. According to Josephus, shadows of the burned cities remained visible long after their fall. Even more fascinating was the location itself. The area surrounding the Dead Sea is one of the strangest landscapes on Earth. Lifeless, scorching, mineral-heavy, and hauntingly silent, it resembles a place abandoned after unimaginable catastrophe. Massive salt formations dominate the terrain. Smoke-like haze often hangs above the region during intense heat. The environment feels almost alien. Many explorers believed the lost cities might be buried somewhere beneath or around the Dead Sea Basin. Then came Ron Wyatt. Ron Wyatt was not a conventional archaeologist. Trained as a nurse anesthetist, he nevertheless devoted much of his life to searching for locations connected to biblical history. Wyatt became famous for claiming discoveries connected to Noah's Ark, the Red Sea crossing, and even the Ark of the Covenant. Mainstream archaeologists often criticized his methods and conclusions. Yet despite the controversy, Wyatt attracted enormous public attention because of his unwavering confidence and dramatic storytelling. Among all his investigations, however, one of the most unsettling involved Sodom and Gomorrah. Wyatt believed he had located the actual ruins of the destroyed cities near the southeastern region of the Dead Sea. What made his claims terrifying was not simply the ruins themselves, but the strange materials scattered across the landscape. According to Wyatt, the ground was filled with unusual white ash formations, unlike ordinary stone. Entire city-like structures appeared to have been incinerated where they stood. But that was only the beginning. When Wyatt and his team examined the area, they reportedly discovered formations resembling walls, buildings, towers, and streets buried beneath layers of ash. Some sections appeared melted or chemically altered by intense heat. Wyatt claimed the ruins contained nearly pure ash compositions far different from surrounding natural rock formations. According to reports from his investigations, some samples allegedly disintegrated easily under pressure, as though the material had once been consumed by extreme fire. What terrified many observers was the idea that entire civilizations may have been instantly reduced to powder. In several interviews, Wyatt described the area as eerily silent and emotionally heavy. He believed the destruction had occurred suddenly and violently, beyond anything ordinary warfare could produce. Then came the object that generated even greater controversy. Scattered throughout the alleged ruins, Wyatt claimed to have found strange sulfur balls embedded in the ash. According to him, these were not ordinary geological formations. The sulfur deposits reportedly burned intensely when ignited and were said to contain unusually high purity levels. Wyatt believed these sulfur balls matched the biblical description of brimstone raining from heaven. To supporters, this was astonishing. Genesis did not merely mention fire, it specifically described brimstone and fire descending upon the cities. Wyatt argued that the sulfur stones provided physical evidence of the biblical event itself. Some researchers who visited the area later also reported finding sulfur deposits in and around ash formations. Critics argued that sulfur exists naturally in the region due to geological activity. Supporters countered that the concentration and placement appeared highly unusual. Regardless of interpretation, the imagery remained deeply unsettling. Entire cities allegedly frozen in ash, sulfur embedded within the ruins, land that appeared scorched by catastrophic heat, and a biblical account describing divine judgment from heaven. For many people, Wyatt's conclusions raised disturbing questions about whether ancient scripture recorded a real historical disaster of unimaginable scale. One of the most haunting elements of the Sodom and Gomorrah narrative involves the fate of Lot's wife. Genesis chapter 19 verse 26 states, "But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt." Near the region Wyatt investigated stands a towering salt formation overlooking the Dead Sea. Some local traditions have long associated the formation with Lot's wife. Wyatt reportedly pointed to this formation as additional confirmation that the biblical story unfolded in the exact area he explored. Whether symbolic or literal, the image remains one of the Bible's most powerful warnings. A woman fleeing destruction pauses for one final glance at the doomed cities behind her and becomes frozen in judgment. The symbolism has echoed across centuries. Do not cling to corruption. Do not turn back toward destruction. Do not ignore the warning signs. To many believers, the terrifying nature of the story was never merely about fire from heaven. It was about moral collapse reaching a point of irreversible consequence. Today, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah continues to divide historians, scientists, and theologians. Some see mythology. Others see history buried beneath ash and salt. But few explorers pursued the mystery with the intensity of Ron Wyatt. Before his death, Wyatt insisted that the ruins he studied were real evidence of the biblical catastrophe. He believed the ash, sulfur, and scorched terrain testified to an event so terrifying that it permanently scarred the land itself. Whether one views his conclusions as credible archaeology or controversial speculation, the images remain unforgettable. Cities turned to ash, fire from heaven, sulfur embedded in ruins, a pillar of salt standing watch over the Dead Sea, and a warning echoing across thousands of years. Luke chapter 17, verse 32, contains perhaps the most chilling reminder of all. Remember Lot's wife. 3 simple words, yet they continue to echo through history like from the ruins themselves. Because perhaps the most terrifying possibility is not merely that Sodom and Gomorrah once existed, but that humanity still refuses to learn from them.